Welcome to Community Partners Interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Prateek Mohanty, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Mike Jenson, the Executive Director for Community Living Victoria, CLV. CLV's mission is to empower people to enhance their quality of life through self determination. They work alongside individuals to build inclusive, welcoming communities where people have access to learning, meaningful employment, safe and affordable housing, and strong social connections that support well being and belonging. Grounded in over 6 decades of experience and shaped by the voices of the people they support, CLV remains committed to their core values of inclusion, support, and belonging. They believe that when everyone is included, communities thrive. Thank you for joining us today, Mike.
Thank you, Prateek. It's great to be here.
So tell us a bit more about you. What inspired you to work at CLV? Why work with individuals with disabilities?
Sure. Well, I've been with CLV for over 25 years, and I started back in 1998. And when I first moved to Victoria, I had worked with people in Vancouver. My first role in community living was working in a group home for some people that were just moving out of the institution, out of Woodlands. And so my role was to really be able to introduce them to community. And that was a part-time job that I had while I was going to school. And I just fell in love with the cause. I fell in love with the people, and I fell in love with the movement. And I ended up becoming a full-time community support worker, and kind of then very quickly became a supervisor of one of the homes. And at that time in the early 90s, that's when people were just moving out of institutions, as I said. And the community was really just starting to embrace people with intellectual disabilities. And I did that for about 5 years until moving to Victoria and discovered Community Living Victoria, and started working with them then and working in all of our homes and programs, and then slowly became a supervisor, and then a manager, and then a director. And today I'm the executive director.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. While doing my research, I saw that you have a couple of services that you offer. Can you tell us a bit more about these services?
Sure. Yeah, we have a wide range of services to support people with intellectual disabilities and their families. The main focus of our organization is community homes. We have 17 community homes throughout the Victoria area where we support people with all activities of daily living. Each home has between 2 to 4 people that are living in there and are staffed 24/7. A lot of times the people will go to a community inclusion program during the day, and we've got supervisors and staff around the clock that support people to, access their community, engage in recreation and volunteer activities, liaise with their medical professionals, their families, their friends. Our homes are their homes, and we really promote a home style living environment for people to live as independently as possible in those 17 houses. We also have what's called our supported apartment living program, and we support 13 people who live in their own apartments within a one apartment building that has over 100 units in it. So it's not like we have a disability floor. The people are spread throughout the building, and their independence level is such that they don't require nighttime support. So our support is more helping with budgeting, banking, groceries, meal preparation, liaising with medical professionals, and of course recreation and community engagement. We have a suite that we rent in that building that's our staff suite, and a lot of times people will come down for their support in the staff suite, or people might make big vats of lasagna or spaghetti, and people will be able to bring ready-made freezer meals back to their own apartments. It's a really, really great community that we have established there, and that program has been running for well over 20 years. We have another program called Supported Independent Living, and that's very similar in the support needs, except for the individuals that we support are scattered sort of throughout the Victoria area, living in their own apartments. And we've got a team of 3 people that might meet with them on a weekly basis. The hours would be dependent on their disability related needs. And again, the support would be helping them to maintain their apartments, liaise with medical professionals, budgeting, meal preparation, and community engagement again. So those are our residential type living arrangements. We also have a program called Home Share, which I'm sure many people are familiar with. And that is where we're supporting individuals to live in either with a couple or a roommate situation or a family. And we have support contracts in place with people to support them in their own homes so that they can thrive and be as independent as possible. Another service that we provide is community inclusion. And so we have 3 main community inclusion programs where we have people that come to our sites typically Monday to Friday, 9 to 3, and they engage in a variety of different activities throughout the week, volunteering, recreation, employment, a lot of skill development, computers and different things like that. And we support probably about 70 people in that range over the 3 different sites. And they come to our locations and they meet up with their staff and they plan their activities for the week or for the month. And then they join up with their peers and they access the community to engage in the activities of their choice. It's a really, really great network of people, a lot of fun in those programs. Another program that we have, which is fairly unique within the province, and that's called our Parent Support Program. And that is a fairly small program. We just have 7 families that we work with, and that's parents who have intellectual disabilities that are raising their children. And we support them with all the joys of raising their children and helping them to make sure that they've got the access to the resources that they require, the education that they require. Sometimes it's helping them to have food security. It's helping them to, again, maintain budgets and apartment maintenance and liaising sometimes with schools to make sure that they've got all of the support that they need in there. As I said, a very unique program within the province. And we've been providing that service for approximately 20 years. And then another program that we have is our employment services. And so we've got employment coordinators and counselors who support people with intellectual disabilities to learn all of the skills of obtaining a job. When we have a referral that comes in, we support them depending on where they're at in their employment career or path, with interview skills, with creating resumes. But we also go beyond that, and we help them to identify what their preferred work environment would look like. We introduce them to employers, and we support them through the interview process. And then when they do get hired by an employer, and we work with a variety of different employers throughout the Victoria area again, and we support them on the job as well. And so that support means sometimes working side by side with them until they get to know the routines and feel comfortable, and that the employer feels comfortable with their abilities. And that's typically fading support. And so as the person becomes independent and confident in their job, then our support fades back so that they can thrive and do the work that they're hired to do. But when there's a situation, when there's a change in schedule, or if there's a change in routine or job duties, then we come right back in there and we support them through that transition to assist them to be as familiar and successful as possible. Finally, our last program that we have is our family support program. And that program is where we support individuals and families to access resources in the community. Sometimes that's liaising with children and their families to make sure that they have adequate supports in school systems. It's helping them to transition as they're moving from the Ministry of Children and Family or Youth Services into adult services, helping them to ensure that their plans are moved forward, and so that when they turn 19 and they move into Community Living British Columbia services, that's a seamless transition as possible. And sometimes that's helping them to really identify what their support needs are, what their service goals are, and helping them to obtain the appropriate funding to be able to carry on with their goals. So, in a nutshell, that is essentially the services that we provide. As you'd mentioned, we just celebrated our 70th year, our 70th birthday. CLD has been in the community since 1955, and we were created by a group of families who said no to institutions back in 1955 and wanted something different for their sons and daughters at that time. And that group of families came together and they provided respite for each other. They advocated for services. And today, 70 years later, we're the largest nonprofit service provider on Vancouver Island.
Wow. Congratulations. I also saw that you have a resource tab. Could you speak to us a little bit about what goes underneath the resource tab?
Yeah, the resources tab that we have on our website is really just a way for individuals and families to access a variety of resources throughout the community, the Victoria community. And that could be anything from typical resources that are things that are happening in rec centers or camps for kids or different therapy groups that might be coming up. Or it could be simply as music bingo or different recreational events that are coming up. But we also have a lot of resources on there for specific therapies or different types of supports that are available to people in the community. And we keep that updated as frequently as we can. In conjunction with that, we also have a monthly e-news that we blast out, and we collect resources and information from all kinds of different organizations throughout the community, and we share that with all of our members on a monthly basis so that they're informed with what's happening in their community and ways to access that.
Are there any restrictions to the services at CLV, such as age, disability type, caregivers, or family members,
Not
things of that
specific,
nature?
not specifically restrictions, but we are. So one of the other programs that I forgot to mention is our Teen Community Connection. Predominantly, most of our services are for adults, people that are 19 years old or over, and have funding through Community Living British Columbia. But we do have our Teen Community Connections program as well, which is an after-school program between 2:30 and 5, and also for spring break and summer camps for people. So typically, our supports happen when schools are closed, and people need to have support and opportunities for their youth to be included in community. The restrictions are essentially the people that we support have been deemed eligible and funded by our funder, Community Living British Columbia, which is a Crown corporation. So in order to access our services, people would need to go through Community Living British Columbia to be deemed eligible for our supports. Of course, we have limits to the number of people that we can support in our programs. And so sometimes we don't have vacancies. And so that could be a restriction. People work or are entered onto wait lists until we have a vacancy that we can bring somebody in. But we also work in conjunction with a variety of other service providers, also funded by Community Living British Columbia. And so when there is somebody that's deemed eligible and they're on the priority for services, they would be able to go through CLBC's procurement process in order to determine which organization might be suitable, which organization might have vacancy that they'd be able to go into.
Are there any myths and misconceptions about the individuals that use your services?
Any myths or conceptions or misconceptions? I think maybe the only thing that comes to mind is sometimes people don't feel that people with intellectual disabilities or the people that we support are able to contribute to community just like anybody else that's in the typical community. And I really think that that is a big myth or a big misconception. All people have value. All people have gifts. All people have abilities, and all people have the ability to contribute back to their communities and thrive.
Right. So without using any names, can you share a success story with me? What support were put in place when someone asked for help?
Sure. Yeah, I can use. I'll just make up a name. I'll call him. Bill. Bill was somebody that we began supporting when he turned 19. And he was somebody that lived in foster care. He did have an intellectual disability, and and still does. But and he had a bit of a struggle when he was a youth. He moved around from a few different foster cares. He really struggled in the educational system. And when he was referred to us when he was 19, we actually met him when he was 18 and began doing a transition plan with him. And he moved into one of our home share arrangements when he turned 19. And he lived in that home share arrangement for, I think, approximately about 5 years. And during that time, he also joined our employment services and one of our community inclusion programs. So Bill had wraparound supports from the time that he joined Community Living Victoria for his home and for his recreation and for his employment. And in that time, he really just was able to feel safe and secure. He had a stable home, in a home that he was cared for, and that he felt confident, and his independence levels grew. He was living in the family home at that time, and because he required that level of support, he now, fast forward, is living in a second home share with us. He's living with a couple who just he's been living with them now for probably about 5 years. So we've supported him for about 10 years, and he's just pushing 30. He holds down two jobs, one at a car wash and another at a bank. And he doesn't any longer attend our community inclusion program because he doesn't really have the time. He's working pretty much full time between his two jobs, but he's taken some of his community inclusion hours and he's used those for weekend supports to help him. He's become a bit of a weightlifter. He's quite buff, and he enjoys going to the gym. He enjoys working out and doing a lot of recreational activities. The home that he lives in, he now lives in a suite within the home. He doesn't require the same level of support that he did when he first moved into our services. And so he's very, very proud of the fact that he has his own suite within the home. And that home share provider provides the supports that he needs, as far as, similar to our SAL and our SIL programs, the banking and the meal prep and all of those types of things. But he's pretty independent. He's able to have his friends over. He's able to have to go out on holidays, and he's able to access the community independently. And of course, with the two jobs that he has, he doesn't have the financial barriers that he once faced, and he's really just thriving. And in the 10 years, I've just been so proud to see the accomplishments that he's made, and look forward to seeing the next chapters in his life.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good for Bill. It almost makes me want to come to Toronto, from Toronto to Vancouver just to meet him. So thank you for sharing the
He'd
story.
be happy to invite you over for a coffee, I'm sure.
Yes. So are there any events coming up for CLV?
Yeah, well, we've got a few different events that we've got coming. We're actually next week on February the 25th. We are a co-host with another few other organizations similar to ours, along with our funder, Community Living British Columbia, and we're hosting a film screening called Where Everybody Belongs, and it's a film that was created in the summertime through another organization in Vancouver. And it's about individuals with intellectual disabilities who are members of the LGBTQ plus community. And it's about their journey as far as coming out as a queer person, but also having an intellectual disability and being able to determine what right community is for them, how to meet peers, how to meet dates, how to have romantic relationships, and all the trials and tribulations of that. And that screening is at the University of Victoria Cine Center on February the 25th at 7 p.m. It's by donation. Admission is by donation. And then there's going to be, and the film itself is approximately 45 minutes long. And then there will be some of the members that are in the film, along with the documentary maker, will be there for a question and answer period afterwards. So we're really looking forward to hosting that. And CLV, we're a very inclusive organization, and we really support all diverse groups within our community, and this is very important one as well. We have a lot of different fundraising activities that we do as a nonprofit organization. Our funding dollars only stretch as far as they go, and so it's really important for us that we have fundraising activities that help us with providing additional funds to the people we support. Sometimes that might be medications that are not covered. It might be dental work. It might be helping somebody to go on a holiday, or maybe see their family if they're out of town. Excuse me. So we've got a car show that's coming up in August, on August the 22nd. And this will be our third annual car show that we've sponsored. And we have about 35 to 40 old cars that come to us. They come to us through the Walter P. Chrysler Car Club. And it's a lot of chrome and fins and old 40s and 50s cars. We take that opportunity to have a barbecue, and we sell burgers and hot dogs, and people join the car show by donation. The people that bring their cars donate funds to show their car off, and it's a really great opportunity for us to be able to bring in some additional funds for the organization. Apart from that, we also have a variety of other events that we'll be hosting, and it's fairly new in the year, so we're just kind of creating our schedule at this time. But we have in the past have had concerts for Hope Help Home, where we've had artists come in and do a concert for us, and to help us raise money. We've had comedy shows in the past. We've had a variety of different events that we've done. And I guess most recently we celebrated our 70th anniversary or birthday, and that was a huge event where we had over 200 people come to our property, and we did it in September, and we had the mayor come, we had members of Saanich Council come, and it was just a really fantastic way to celebrate the 70 years that Community Living Victoria has been serving the people of Victoria.
That's great. Well, what is the one thing you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities and that shouldn't be happening? And how do we stop that?
I think the main thing is that sometimes people have difficulty accessing the supports that they require, or they might have supports, but they might not be enough. Funding is really a challenge. I know our funder, Community Living British Columbia, stretches every dollar that they possibly could to ensure that they're able to support people throughout British Columbia. But funding is tight, and sometimes people are on wait lists, and they're on wait lists to get the services that they need far more longer than should be. And so I think that really raising awareness of the community living movement, of the importance of the supports that are provided for people, and how people can really thrive in their own communities when they have the right level of support, is something that we need to share with the entire population, to advocate for appropriate funding for those services, so that we can spread those services out and meet the greater needs of the people in our province, in our country.
Well, if someone wanted to become a member or volunteer with CLV, what is the process for joining as a member or a volunteer?
It's as easy as going to our website, communitylivingvictoria.bc.ca, and there's all kinds of information on our website about how to join us, how to work for us, how to access our services, and how to volunteer. One of the things that we're really looking for right now are foundation board members. So one thing that I haven't mentioned is that we have a foundation board, and it's called the Victoria Community Living Foundation. And that foundation, its sole purpose is to raise the funds and the profile of Community Living Victoria. And Community Living Victoria is the only customer of the Victoria Community Living Foundation. And so that foundation puts together the events, some of the events that I talked about. They help us to apply for grants so that we can access technology or funds for vehicles or address food insecurity that some of the people that we support. And that foundation board was established in 1995. We've got a lot of really dedicated members on that. We've also had a lot of retirements on there. And so we're looking for new people to join that board that might be connected with the Victoria community, the business community, to help us to approach sponsorship, to sponsor some of our events, or to put together some grants for us so that we're able to access more funds that go directly back to the people that we support.
And well, what is the one thing that everyone needs to know about CLV?
The one thing that I think is really important for people to know about CLV is that we are a big family, a very big family. We support over 400 people, and we have over 300 employees. But really, we are a big family, and we support each other in all aspects of daily living, and we're a lot of fun.
Mhm. Great. And if listeners are looking for more information, how can they reach out to you?
Again, through our website, we have on the website again communitylivingvictoria.bc.ca. We have an info page on there, and you can send an email, and that'll come. That'll actually come directly to me. I can't necessarily answer all of the emails, but I do review them, and then I send them out to members of my team so that everybody gets a response. And so lots of different questions come through that. Sometimes it's about how to be a member. Sometimes it's about how to make a donation. Sometimes it's about how to access services. And so we fan those out and try to be as responsive as possible when those requests come in.
Perfect. That was all then. Thank you so much, Mike. So thank you for lending us your time and attention. This was your host, Prateek Mohanty from V4A Radio. All abilities, all the time. Have a fantastic weekend ahead, everybody.